Usually a government would accept the recommendations of an ombudsman, and it's only happened twice in the last 50 or so years where that hasn't been the case.
We will compensate them for the money that they've lost. This is their money that they've had stolen off them.
So we hope that the government revisits this issue, because these women have been really disastrously affected by the lack of communication over their state pension ages. Many women lost their homes and faced destitution as a result.
Claire Muldoon called Labour's leadership a complete omni-shambles. But is that fair, or is it an understatement? In the next few minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of Starmer's Labour Party. You'll see the policy flip-flops, the internal power struggles, and the moment when it all started to unravel. By the end, you'll understand why some are calling for Starmer's head. Keir Starmer's approval ratings have hit rock bottom since he took the reins of the Labour Party.
We accept that the 28-month delay in sending out letters was maladministration, and on behalf of the government, I apologise. The government does not believe paying a flat rate to all women at a cost of up to £10.5 billion would be a fair or proportionate use of taxpayers' money. There should be no scheme of financial compensation to 1950s-born women in response to the Ombudsman's report.
But what's behind this dramatic fall from grace? When Starmer first stepped into the spotlight as Labour leader, he seemed like a breath of fresh air. His polished demeanour and legal background promised a new era of competence and professionalism. Many saw him as the antidote to the chaos of the Corbyn years, a leader who could steer Labour back to the centre and make it electable again. But oh, how quickly things can change in politics. The shine has well and truly worn off Starmer's leadership, and criticism is mounting from all sides. Within his own party, backbench MPs are growing increasingly vocal in their discontent. They're not mincing words either, with some going as far as to say Starmer is far from Labour's strong beliefs. It's a damning indictment from those who should be his closest allies. This internal strife isn't just about personality clashes. It cuts to the heart of what Labour stands for. Starmer's centrism has left many party activists feeling cold. They argue he strayed too far from Labour's traditional values in his quest for electability. It's a classic case of a leader trying to please everyone and ending up pleasing no one. But it's not just Labour insiders who are losing faith. The public's perception of Starmer has taken a nosedive. Policy U-turns have eroded trust, with voters struggling to pin down exactly what Starmer and Labour stand for. The party that once prided itself on its principles now seems to shift with the political winds. Political commentator Claire Muldoon didn't pull any punches in her assessment. She described Labour's leadership under Starmer as a complete omni-shambles. Muldoon's criticism cuts deep, accusing the party of failing to connect with the real-world issues faced by ordinary people and breaking promises left and right. All this turmoil is having a predictable effect on Labour's electoral prospects. The numbers tell a grim story. Before the election, Labour was riding high with around 44% support in the polls. Now, they've plummeted to the mid-20s in some surveys. It's a freefall that set alarm bells ringing throughout the party. As if all this wasn't enough, another controversy is brewing that could be the final nail in Starmer's political coffin. The Waspy Women scandal is about to explode, and it might just push Starmer's leadership past the point of no return. $58 billion. That's the eye-watering sum at the heart of Labour's latest crisis. But it's not about overspending or financial mismanagement. It's about a betrayal so profound that it's left an entire generation of women feeling abandoned. How did Starmer manage to alienate one of Labour's core voter bases? The WASPI campaign, short for Women Against State Pension Inequality, emerged as a response to a government decision that blindsided millions. Women born in the 1950s suddenly found their retirement plans in tatters when the state pension age was raised without adequate notice. These women, who had worked and contributed their entire lives, were left facing financial hardship in their golden years. Enter Keir Starmer and the Labour Party riding in like knights in shining armour with promises of justice and compensation. They pledged to right this wrong. to stand up for these women who had been so unfairly treated. It was a commitment that resonated deeply with WASPI supporters and seemed to align perfectly with Labour's values. But then came the U-turn. Starmer's Labour abruptly backtracked on their promises, leaving WASPI women feeling betrayed all over again. The financial implications of compensating these women are undoubtedly significant. We're talking billions of pounds, but for many, this isn't just about money. It's about trust, respect, and the basic principle of keeping your word. The fallout has been swift and severe. WASPI women, once staunch Labour supporters, are now among Starmer's harshest critics. Their anger is palpable, with many expressing feelings of abandonment and disillusionment. "We trusted Labour to fight for us," one affected woman stated, "but they've shown their true colours. Starmer's no different from the rest." Political opponents have been quick to capitalise on this misstep. They're painting Starmer as a leader who will say anything to get elected, only to renege on his promises when the going gets tough. It's a narrative that's gaining traction, chipping away at Starmer's carefully cultivated image of integrity and competence. But here's where it gets really interesting. Leaked documents suggest that Starmer knew about the potential compensation issues far earlier than he's publicly admitted. If true, this revelation casts his decision-making in an even more unfavorable light. Did he knowingly make promises he couldn't keep? Or did he simply underestimate the backlash he'd face when he changed course? As the pressure mounts and calls for Starmer's resignation grow louder, one thing is clear. The WASPI women's scandal could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's a crisis that cuts to the heart of Labour's identity and Starmer's leadership. Can he weather this storm, or is this the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer's tenure as Labour leader? Keir Starmer's leadership of the Labour Party is hanging by a thread. The WASPI women's scandal, policy U-turns, and internal party conflicts have eroded public trust and decimated Labour's poll numbers. Starmer's inability to unite the party's factions or articulate a clear vision for the future has left many questioning his suitability as leader. Can Labour recover under Starmer's leadership, or is it time for a change at the top? The party faces a difficult choice. Replacing Starmer risks further instability, but sticking with him could lead to electoral disaster. Potential successors like Angela Rayner or Lisa Nandy might breathe new life into the party, but they'd inherit the same deep-seated divisions. This crisis in Labour has wider implications for UK politics. With the official opposition in disarray, the Conservative government faces less scrutiny. The vacuum in effective opposition could lead to a more polarised political landscape, potentially opening the door for fringe parties to gain ground. As Labour grapples with its identity crisis, the very future of Britain's two-party system hangs in the balance.